Silence is powerful, but only when it's real. The moment they know it's just a tactic, it loses all its weight. My friends, let's get something straight. Silence is powerful. It always has been. It was never meant to be weak. True silence, the kind that comes from detachment, hits hard, shakes people to their core, and makes them question everything. But here's where most people go wrong. What if they already know why you're silent? What if they've seen this before? What if they know deep down that you're not really gone? You're just waiting for them to notice. See, that's the problem. You've been told that pulling back, going ghost, or disappearing into thin air will make them miss you. But what if I told you that they already saw this move coming, that they expected it? Instead of being haunted by your absence, they're sitting there comfortable, knowing that eventually you'll break. Before I tell you how to flip the script, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because this is going to change the way you see everything. Imagine this. You're in a game of chess. You think you're making a strategic move by pulling back, waiting for them to chase after you. But what if they already memorized every move on the board? What if they already know how long you'll stay quiet before you give in? Let's be real. How many times have you gone silent, thinking it was your ultimate move? How many times have they just waited? How many times have you checked your phone, replayed conversations in your head, and convinced yourself that at any moment they're going to realize what they lost? And yet nothing. Not because silence doesn't work, but because they know your silence is still connected to them. They don't feel your absence because they know you're still there, waiting. Nothing is less powerful than a silence that's still holding on. I once read a story on a forum where a guy talked about how he went silent on his ex, thinking it would drive her crazy. He blocked her, avoided her, and made sure she knew he was gone. But months later, she came back, not because she missed him, but because she knew he was still attached. She could feel it. She said something that stuck with me. "I knew you weren't really gone. You were just waiting for me to come back." And that's when it hit him. His silence didn't scare her. It reassured her. She knew she still had control. I've been there too. I remember thinking that if I just went quiet, they'd realize what they lost. But the truth is, they expected me to do that. And when I finally cracked and reached out, they had already won because the person who breaks first loses. So what's the move? If silence alone won't do it, what will? Stop using silence as a weapon and start using it as a door that shuts forever. The real power of silence isn't in making them miss you. It's in making them realize you're never coming back. It's the difference between temporary silence and vanishing, between playing a game and walking away from the board entirely. People who truly leave don't do it quietly. They do it with certainty. They don't just disappear. They become something unrecognizable. They don't sit around hoping to be missed. They build a life so full that the past becomes irrelevant. You want to know when silence really works, when it's backed by truth, when you're no longer waiting, when you're no longer hoping, when your silence isn't for them, it's for you. And when they finally notice, when they finally reach out, when they finally ask what happened, it will already be too late. There's a quote by Nikita Gill. "They buried you thinking you were gone. They didn't know you were a seed." Let that sink in. They expect you to go quiet. They expect you to wait. They expect you to be sitting in the dark, hoping, wondering, holding on. But the moment they realize you didn't just go silent, you moved on, that's when they lose. That's when the weight of your absence finally crashes down on them. So say this out loud. My silence is real. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it, and if this hit you where it needed to, smash that like button and subscribe, because what's coming next will open your eyes in ways you never expected. Stay with me. Number 1, they're comfortable, not confused. People don't miss what they take for granted. They miss what they can never have again. You think they're confused, sitting there tormented, replaying every moment in their head, wondering why you've gone silent. You think they're restless, unable to focus, suddenly drowning in regret, questioning every decision they made. No, they're fine, comfortable and relaxed. They already know why you're silent. They expected it. They counted on it. They've seen this before, maybe not from you, but from others. People like them live in cycles. They pull you in, drain you, push you away, and the moment you step back, they lean back too, waiting for the inevitable because in their mind, it is inevitable. They know how long you'll stay quiet before you crack. They know the exact moment you'll check your phone, stare at their name, wrestle with yourself, and then finally give in. They know your silence is just a pause, not an ending. Because of that, they're not haunted by your absence. They're at peace with it. Before I tell you how to flip the script, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to say will change the way you see everything. Imagine this. You're a candle in a dark room. At first, you burned bright. You were the source of warmth, light, and energy. They didn't appreciate it, but they used it. They sat next to your glow, enjoying the comfort, never thinking twice about the fact that your fire was keeping them warm. Then, one day, you decide to pull back. You dim. You think now they'll notice. Now they'll realize what they had. Now they'll miss your warmth. But here's the problem. They already knew you'd do that. They saw the flame flickering, and instead of worrying, instead of scrambling to save it, they just shrugged because they've seen this before, and they know how it ends. They know in time you'll relight yourself just for them. They know all it takes is a little waiting, a little patience, a little breadcrumb to remind you they're still there. The moment you reignite yourself, the moment you say, "Hey, I'm still here," they'll lean in again, taking what they want, never once fearing that you might actually burn out and leave them in the dark forever. Because to them, you won't. You never do. That's what they're thinking right now. That's why they're so comfortable. And that's the real reason your silence isn't hitting them the way you want it to. You see, the fear that silence creates, the absence that makes people feel something, it only works when there's real uncertainty, when they don't know what's coming next, when they actually believe you're gone. But if they've played this game before, if they've seen this move before, if they expect your silence, then it isn't a loss for them. It's just part of the cycle. And that's what keeps you trapped. You're sitting there believing they're struggling, believing they're questioning things, while they're sitting there waiting, relaxed and confident. Because to them, this isn't the end. It's just another round. And that, my friends, is where you need to wake up. Because the moment you see it for what it really is, the moment you realize they're not suffering, they're not confused, they're not panicking over your silence, that's the moment you take your power back. Because once you know they're not feeling your absence, you stop waiting for a reaction. You stop hoping for regret. You stop playing the game entirely. And when you do that, when you finally understand that your silence alone isn't enough, you stop being predictable. And that's the move they never see coming. There's a story I read on a forum about a woman who went silent on a toxic ex, thinking it would drive him crazy. She blocked him, ignored him, and stopped reaching out. Weeks passed, no response, nothing. Then months, still nothing. And that's when she broke. She cracked. She reached out, sent a text. Nothing too emotional, nothing too dramatic, just a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" His response, "I was wondering how long it would take you." That was it. Not, "I missed you," not, "I regret what I did," not even, "I'm sorry," just confirmation. Confirmation that he already knew she'd come back. Confirmation that he was never worried, And that moment, that was the slap in the face she needed, because that's when she realized he never took her silence seriously. He was never afraid of losing her. He was just waiting for her to prove him right. And once she saw that, she changed the game. Not by going silent again, not by playing hard to get, but by doing something real. She didn't just disappear, she moved on for real. She built a life where he wasn't even a thought in her mind. And when he finally reached out months later, after realizing she was truly gone, he was met with nothing. No reply, no explanation, no reaction. And that's when he finally felt it. Because when someone expects you to come back and you don't, that's when the weight of your absence truly crashes down on them. That's when they realize they didn't just lose someone waiting for them, they lost someone who moved past them. That's when silence actually becomes powerful. You want to know how to make them feel it. Stop letting them predict you. Stop giving them the comfort of knowing you're still in the game. Stop thinking silence alone is enough, because silence only works when it's backed by something real. And that starts today. So say this out loud: I am done waiting. Write it in the comments, declare it, show them, show yourself, show the world around you, and stay with me, because what's coming next will shake everything you thought you knew about letting go. Number 2, the illusion of control. You don't lose power when you walk away. You lose power when you stay while pretending you've left. So you've gone silent, you've pulled back, you've cut off contact, and now you're sitting there convinced you're the one in control, convinced that this silence is your weapon, convinced that any moment now they're going to crack, reach out, and regret everything. But let me ask you something. If you're still waiting, are you really in control? Because let's be real. How many times have you checked your phone today? How many times have you replayed old conversations, dissected their last words, and convinced yourself that if you just wait long enough, they'll feel it? If you're still expecting them to notice, still hoping for a reaction, still waiting for some grand moment where they finally see your worth, then your silence isn't control, it's captivity. Before I tell you how to break free, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to say is going to hit harder than you expect. Imagine this. You're sitting in a locked room. The door is wide open, but instead of walking out, you sit there, staring at it, waiting for someone to come in and find you. You tell yourself you chose to be here, that you chose the silence, but deep down, you're not staying because you want to. You're staying because you're hoping they'll show up. That's what most people do with silence. They think they're making a power move, but really, they're just waiting. You think you're in control, but every time you check your phone, every time you wonder if they've noticed, every time you tell yourself, I won't break first, you're not controlling anything. You're just trapped in your own game. Real control isn't about making them notice. It's about not caring if they do. And that's where most people fail. Because let's be honest, it's hard to let go of the fantasy that one day they'll wake up, hit you with that long message, spill their heart out, and tell you everything you've been waiting to hear. But ask yourself, if they actually cared, wouldn't they have done that already? Would you even have to play this game in the first place? There's a story I read once about a guy who went silent on an ex, thinking it was the ultimate move. He blocked her, ignored her, and did everything to make sure she knew he was gone. But months later, when she reached out, it wasn't to beg for him back. It wasn't even to apologize. She said, I always knew you were still thinking about me. That's when he realized he never left, not really, because all that time he was waiting, all that time he was hoping. And when she finally reached out, it wasn't because she missed him, it was because she knew he was still stuck on her. And that's what destroyed him, because silence doesn't make you powerful if your mind is still chained to them. Look, I've been there. I've played the game, told myself I was in control, acted like I was unbothered. But every time I checked my phone, every time I wondered what they were thinking, every time I held on to hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd finally see what they lost, I was just lying to myself. Control isn't about who stays silent the longest. It's about who no longer needs to keep score. And if you're still counting the days, still waiting for the moment where your silence works, then, my friend, you are not free. You're a prisoner. So here's the truth. Real power is in walking away without waiting for a reaction, not to teach them a lesson, not to make them chase, not to prove a point, but because you finally see the truth, that waiting for them in any form is a waste of time, that no message, no apology, no sudden realization from them will ever change what you already know, that the only thing keeping you stuck is you. And the moment you stop waiting, that's when you actually take back control. So say it out loud. I release myself. Write it in the comments, declare it, show them, show yourself, show the world around you, and stay with me, because what's coming next will expose exactly how they keep you hooked and how to break free once and for all. Number 3, the breadcrumb effect. They don't want you back. They just don't want you to move forward. You ever notice how they never fully disappear? They don't call, they don't text, they don't make any real effort to fix what they broke. But just when you start to move on, just when you start to feel okay again, they drop a little something, a like, a random, "Hey, how have you been?" A pointless DM, nothing major, nothing meaningful, just enough to remind you they exist. And you sit there staring at your screen, wondering what it means. Maybe they miss me, maybe they regret it, maybe they're finally realizing what they lost. No, they're not coming back. They're keeping you there because they don't actually want you, they just don't want you to be gone. Before I tell you how to flip the script, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to say is going to shake you awake. Imagine this, you're a dog being trained. Every time you do something right, you get a treat, a tiny little reward. Not enough to satisfy you, just enough to keep you obedient. Now imagine one day your owner stops giving you treats entirely. What happens? You stop sitting, you stop staying, you stop following the commands. But the second they throw you just one treat, suddenly you're back, eager, attentive, waiting for more. That's exactly how they play you. They don't need to love you, they don't need to fix anything. They just need to leave just enough hope for you to stick around, just enough attention to keep you waiting. And your silence makes it easy for them, because you're still in the game, still waiting for their next move, still hoping that maybe this time it's different. It's not. They know exactly what they're doing. A like on your Instagram story? That's not love. That's a breadcrumb. A hope you're doing well text after months of nothing? That's not regret. That's a breadcrumb. A random view on your profile, a mutual friend suddenly bringing them up, a vague post that might be about you. That's not fate. That's a breadcrumb. And you? You're picking them up one by one, following the trail, hoping it leads somewhere. It won't. Because people who actually want you don't feed you breadcrumbs. They show up for you. They choose you. They don't give you crumbs. They give you the whole damn meal. So why do they do this? Because they need to know you're still there. Not in a loving way, not in a caring way, but in a selfish way. They like knowing you haven't moved on. They like knowing they still have a hold on you. They like knowing that no matter how much time passes, they can reach out, and you'll still be standing in the same spot. And that's exactly why you need to wake up. Because if you keep picking up the breadcrumbs, you'll never leave the trail. And that's the goal, not to get you back, not to fix things, just to make sure you never fully walk away. There's a story I read on a forum where a woman talked about how she was finally moving on from her toxic ex. Months of silence, months of healing. Then, out of nowhere, a "hope you're doing well" message. That's all it took. Her heart started racing. She started overthinking. Was this his way of reaching out? Was he finally ready to talk? She responded, kept it casual. He replied, but the energy was off. No real effort, no real conversation, just enough to keep her engaged. And suddenly, she found herself back in the waiting game. Weeks went by. More messages, more small talk, but no real change, no effort to fix things, no real action. And that's when it hit her. This wasn't love. This wasn't a second chance. This was control. She was just another option, another backup plan, another ego boost. And the moment she realized that, she stopped replying, stopped engaging. And that's when he panicked. Because the moment you stop picking up the breadcrumbs, the moment you actually break free, that's when they realize they've lost you. And that's the moment they can't handle. They can handle your silence when they know you're still thinking about them. They can handle your distance when they know you're still waiting. But the second they realize you're truly gone, that's when the game falls apart. So here's the move. Stop picking up the crumbs. Stop waiting for them to show up. Stop mistaking their weak attempts at attention for something real. Because real love doesn't leave you starving, and you were never meant to beg for scraps. Say this out loud. I refuse breadcrumbs. Write it in the comments, declare it, show them, show yourself, show the world around you, and stay with me, because what's coming next will show you exactly why they always come back and why it's never for the reason you think. Number 4, the only type of silence that works. Silence only holds power when it's backed by indifference. If you're still waiting for them to notice, you're not silent. You're just unheard. Let's get something straight. Not all silence is created equal. There's the silence that keeps you stuck, and there's the silence that sets you free. One is a waiting game, the other is a complete exit. One is about making them notice, the other is about never caring if they do. So ask yourself, which one are you playing? Because if you're sitting there checking your phone, replaying moments in your head, convincing yourself that at any second they'll feel your absence and come running back, you're not silent, you're just on mute. And the difference between the two is everything. Before I break this down, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because this is where it gets real. Imagine this. You're at a party, music blasting, conversations buzzing, and you decide to leave. But instead of just walking out the door, you stop at the exit, turn around, and wait. You stand there expecting someone to notice, to call out, to chase after you. You keep glancing back, hoping for that moment when someone finally says, "Hey, don't go." That's what most people do with silence. They walk away, but they don't leave. They pause at the door, hoping, waiting, anticipating the moment when the other person finally realizes what they lost. But that moment doesn't come because they see you standing there. And if you're still waiting, you're not really gone. That's why your silence isn't working, because you're still there. The only type of silence that actually works is the kind where you don't care if they notice. The kind where you don't check, you don't wait, you don't anticipate. The kind where your absence isn't a strategy, it's a reality. Because the truth is, they do notice when you're gone, but not when you're playing a game, not when you're holding your breath hoping they'll crack first, not when your silence is just another way of keeping them in your orbit. They notice when the door shuts, when the party keeps going, and they suddenly realize you never came back. That's when it hits. I once read a story on a forum about a guy who was talking about how he went silent on his ex, hoping to make her miss him. He blocked her, ignored her, did everything to make sure she knew he was done. But deep down, he was waiting. He still stalked her social media, still checked mutual friends' posts, still held on to hope that any day now she'd regret losing him. Then one day, she reached out, not to apologize, not to say she missed him, but to say, "I always knew you were still watching." That wrecked him because she was right. She wasn't feeling his absence because he was never really gone, and that's the trap most people fall into. They think silence is about disappearing, but it's really about detaching. You want to know when silence actually works? When it's real, when it's not a move on the chessboard, but a complete surrender of the game. When you're not waiting for them to notice, when you're not sitting there hoping for a reaction, when you're so focused on your own life, your own growth, your own freedom, that they become nothing more than a name you used to know. Because that's the moment it truly hits them. Not when you're pretending to be strong, but when you actually are. Not when you're playing hard to get, but when you are hard to get. Not when you go silent just to make them feel something, but when you go silent because you no longer feel anything for them at all. And that's when you win. There's a quote I love. You'll know you've healed when their name doesn't make your stomach turn anymore. That's the type of silence that works. The kind where they look for you and you're nowhere to be found. The kind where they try to reach you and you've already moved so far beyond them that you don't even notice. The kind where they finally realize what they lost, but by then you're already living a life where their absence isn't something you even think about anymore. That's the silence they can't handle. That's the silence that actually means something. So say it out loud. I don't wait. I walk. Write it in the comments. Declare it. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you. And stay with me, because what's coming next will make sure you never fall into their trap again. Number 5. When they finally notice, it's too late. People don't realize what they had until it's gone, but by the time they do, you won't be there to see it. You think they'll never feel your absence. You think they'll go on forever, completely unaffected, untouched, as if you never meant anything. You think they'll just keep living their life, laughing, moving on without a single moment of regret? Wrong. They will feel it. They always do. But not when you're waiting, not when you're still checking, still hoping, still watching from the shadows, secretly wondering if today will be the day they finally realize what they lost. No, they feel it when you're gone completely. Before I break this down, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to say will hit harder than you expect. Imagine this. You're a song they used to love. At first, they played you on repeat, every day, every night. You were their favorite sound, but over time, they got used to it. The excitement faded, they skipped your track a few times. Then one day, they stopped playing it altogether. Now here's the part you don't realize. You think they forgot about you. You think they don't care, but the truth is, that song is still in their playlist. It's just sitting there, unnoticed, unplayed, forgotten, and for weeks, months, maybe even years, they don't think about it until one day it suddenly comes on. And that's when they feel it. That's when the memories hit them. That's when they realize they haven't heard that song in forever. And for the first time, they feel the absence of something they once had. But by then, it's just a song, a memory, a moment that's already passed. And that's you. The moment they feel your absence is the moment you've already moved so far beyond them that it doesn't even matter anymore. Because that's how people work. They don't feel your loss when you're still lingering. They don't miss you when they know you're still thinking about them. They don't regret losing you when you're still there, silent, waiting. They feel it when you're truly gone. When they look for you and you're no longer looking back. When they finally decide to check up on you and find nothing, no trace, no waiting, no attachment, that's when it hits. But by then, it's too late, because you've already built a new life. A life where they're not a thought, not a longing, not a loss. A life where their absence isn't felt because it's not even noticed. That's when they feel it. That's when they realize. That's when they lose. But by then, you've already won. So say it out loud. By the time they notice, I'll be gone. Write it in the comments. Declare it. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you. And stay with me, because what's coming next will make sure you never let them back in again. Number 6. They come back for control, not for you. They don't miss you. They miss the power they had over you. So you've gone silent. You've pulled away. You've stopped feeding their ego, stopped giving them attention, stopped playing their game. And now, after all this time, they suddenly come back. A message, a call, a "Hey, how have you been?" out of nowhere. And for a second, just a second, you think maybe they finally get it. Maybe they've realized what they lost. Maybe this is the moment I was waiting for. Wrong. They didn't come back because they missed you. They came back because they missed control. Because here's the truth. People like them don't lose sleep over losing you. They lose sleep over losing their grip on you. Before I tell you how to handle this, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because this is the moment where most people lose the game without even realizing it. Imagine this. You own a vending machine. Every time they press a button, they get what they want: your attention, your emotions, your energy. They've been using it freely, getting exactly what they need whenever they feel like it. Then one day, the vending machine stops working. No response, no reaction, nothing. At first, they don't panic. They just assume it's temporary. They walk away, expecting it to start working again. But when it doesn't, when they realize you've actually shut down, that's when they come back. Not because they appreciate the vending machine, not because they suddenly value what it gave them, but because they want access again. And that's what's happening right now. They're not coming back because they regret losing you. They're coming back because they felt the loss of control, because they noticed that you stopped reacting, because they're wondering, wait, why aren't they still affected by me? And if you let them back in, if you respond, if you engage, if you let that small flicker of hope take over, you just reset the game. You just gave them proof that they still own a piece of you. And trust me, they'll use it. They'll act like they miss you, like they've changed, like this time it's different. They'll say just enough to make you believe it. But the second they're sure they've got you hooked again, they'll go right back to who they always were. Because this was never about love. This was never about change. This was never about finally realizing your worth. It was always about control. And if you don't see that now, you'll be right back where you started. So say it out loud, I will not be controlled. Write it in the comments. Declare it. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you, and stay with me, because what's coming next will make sure you never fall for their tricks again. Number 7. Walking away is the power move. Power isn't in being wanted. Power is in no longer needing to be. You want them to feel it? Then stop waiting. Stop strategizing. Stop making your silence something they can predict, something they've seen before. Because let me tell you something. If they think you're still there, if they expect you to come back, if they're confident that at any moment you'll break, reach out, check in, or show up, then they are not feeling your absence. They are waiting for your return. And the second they know they can still pull you back, you lose. Before I break this down, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because this is where everything changes. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a door. You keep knocking, waiting, hoping someone will answer, but no one does. So you decide to walk away. But you don't really leave. You take a few steps, then glance back just in case. You hover near the doorway, checking, hoping, still looking for some kind of sign that they care. That's not walking away. That's hesitation. And hesitation is weakness. Real walking away isn't a performance. It's not done for effect. It's not about them at all. It's about you. It's about shutting the door so completely that even if they tried to open it, they'd find nothing on the other side. Because people only feel lost when they realize something is truly gone, not missing, not sent, gone. That's why most people never actually regain power. They don't walk away, they linger. They say they're done, but they're still hoping. They disappear, but they're still checking. They act like they've moved on, but deep down, they're waiting. And the person on the other side can feel that. They can sense it. They know that as long as they leave a little space open, as long as they give just enough breadcrumbs, as long as they keep you wondering, you're not really gone. But the moment you stop caring, the moment you move forward without hesitation, that's when they feel it. Because when you finally walk, not just pretend to, not just threaten to, but truly step into a new life without them, there is no recovery for them. There is no second chance. That's when the power shifts. There's a quote I love. You don't have to slam the door, just close it firmly enough that they know it won't open again. That's what walking away really is. It's not about making them miss you, it's about making yourself free. So say it out loud, I walk away for me. Write it in the comments, declare it, show them, show yourself, show the world around you, and stay with me, because what's coming next will make sure you never look back again. Number 8, burn the bridge, but leave no ashes. You don't truly move on until you stop checking to see if they have. Most people think burning the bridge means blocking a number, hitting that unfollow button, maybe even deleting some pictures. They think if they make it look like they've moved on, that's enough. But let me ask you, are you still checking, still wondering, still playing that sick game of, I'm gone, but let me see if they notice? If you are, you haven't burned anything. You've just stepped back, watching from the shadows, hoping they feel your absence. That's not cutting someone off. That's keeping the door cracked open just in case. Before I tell you how to burn the bridge for real, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to say will hit harder than you expect. Imagine this. You're standing on a bridge that's already half broken. The ropes are frayed, the wood is rotting, and on the other side is someone who never valued you, never appreciated you, and never planned on meeting you halfway. And yet, you're still standing there, still staring across, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'll fix it. That they'll suddenly wake up, realize what they lost, and come running before you light the match. But here's the truth you don't want to face. They are not coming. And if they do, it won't be because they changed. It'll be because they know you're still standing there, still hoping, still waiting. They will cross that same broken bridge, say just enough to pull you back in, and then leave you stranded all over again. If you allow it, you will never go. Because burning the bridge isn't about them, it's about you. It's about making sure there's nothing left to return to. No stalking, no watching, no hoping, no waiting. You don't just burn the bridge, you make sure there's nothing left to rebuild. There's a story I read on a forum once about a guy who went through a breakup, swore he was done, blocked his ex and cut contact. But every now and then he'd check her social media, just a quick peek, just to see, just to know. Until one day he saw exactly what he was dreading. She had moved on, new guy, new life, and suddenly he was the one left standing in the ashes, burning all over again. Because the bridge wasn't the problem was that he was still looking back. And that's what ruins people. They think cutting someone off is about actions, but it's about mindset. It's about erasing them so completely from your world that they no longer exist in your reality. That's how you move on. That's how you win. So say it out loud, I don't look back. Write it in the comments, declare it. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you, and stay with me because what's coming next will make sure they never find their way back to you again. Number 9, rise beyond their reach. They expected you to suffer. They never expected you to rise. You want to know the one thing they can't handle. It's not your silence, it's not your anger, it's not even your absence. It's your glow, your evolution, your complete and utter disinterest in their existence. They can handle being blocked, they can handle you ignoring them, they can even handle the idea that you're mad at them, because that still means they hold space in your mind. But the moment they realize you don't even think about them anymore, that's when it actually hits. Because in their world, you were supposed to stay stuck. You were supposed to be haunted. You were supposed to stay bitter, replaying every conversation, checking for updates on their life, holding on to some invisible thread that kept you connected to them. But instead, you became untouchable. Before I show you exactly how to make this shift, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because this is where we make them completely irrelevant. Imagine this. You're in the middle of an earthquake. The ground beneath you is shaking, the walls are crumbling, and everything you thought was stable is falling apart. That was you when they left, when they discarded you, when they treated you like an afterthought. But instead of being buried under the rubble, you rebuilt, not as a reaction to them, not to prove a point, but because you finally realized they were never the foundation you needed in the first place. You were always meant to rise higher than they could ever reach, and that's the move they never saw coming. I once read a story on a forum where a woman talked about how her ex thought she would never recover. He left, moved on fast, flaunted his new relationship, convinced himself that she would always be looking over her shoulder, comparing, wondering, regretting. Then one day, years later, he saw her by accident, not looking, not watching, not even aware that he was in the same space as her. And in that moment, he realized he was completely erased from her world, not because she tried to forget him, but because she had outgrown him so completely that he wasn't even a thought in her mind anymore. That's what it means to rise beyond their reach, not just moving on, not just healing, but becoming so unshakably strong that even if they came back, even if they begged, even if they finally saw your worth, it wouldn't matter, because you've built a life where their presence, their validation, their regret, it all means nothing. That's the only real revenge. And that, my friends, is the truth they never wanted you to realize. You were never powerless. You were never weak. The only thing holding you back was the illusion that they still mattered, but not anymore. You rise, you evolve, you become untouchable. So say it out loud, I am unstoppable. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. And if this hit you where it needed to, smash that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe, because what's coming next will make sure you never fall into their trap again. See you in the next video.